Jaya Prabhuji. Hello, welcome to the Retroprogressive Yoga Institute. My name is Swami Omkarananda. I am a disciple of Prabhuji since 1997, and in this institute the disciples of Prabhuji share their reflections and their understandings on the teachings of Prabhuji. In these courses I am sharing what I reflect upon the Tantra liberation in the world. This book Prabhuji dedicated to study the Tantric wisdom, and it's full of treasures which I recommend to you to read directly, really. And these courses are just meant to clarify some points and to share some of my understandings, but nothing can replace the reflective learning of the words of Prabhuji directly. This book is not for beginners, I will say. It takes in account that you already maybe read other books of Prabhuji or have some understanding of the Vedic path, and the Tantra comes to refine this path and to add. And I think one of the qualities of Tantra is that it was revealed for the current era, as we will learn, and it can be so relevant for us. And that's why the retroprogressive path was very much enriched by this attitude. You can find a lot of traces of this revelation in the path. And it's so important to understand the scope of the revelation and to put Tantra in context, especially because it was deeply misunderstood, and I will dare to say misused in the West. And as Western seekers, if we can call ourselves this way, we need to understand the importance and the depth of this wisdom that has so much to give us. In this course, we are going into the differences between the Tantra and the Veda. If we want to understand the context of the emergence of this revelation, we need to get what was before and what it came to contribute. In this class, we will continue to compare Veda and Tantra, find the similarities, understand the differences, the different emphasis that each one puts. In the previous class, we started, which I recommend to watch before this one, we start talking about the origin, the different deities in each system, the different doctrines, the scriptures, and in this one, we will continue and analyze the following topics. 1. Rituals. 2. Practice. 3. Mantras. And 4. Social orientation. Let's get started. 1. Ritual. In Vedic worship, yajnas take place in mostly open spaces, without deities or shrines. Tantric worship recommends pujas, ceremonies performed in temples to deities or icons. However, this does not necessarily mean that Tantric agamas and the Vedas oppose each other. So let's make a little order in this comparison. We said that Vedas are worship in nature without temple. Tantra is worship in the temple. Vedas mainly is fire rituals, either homas or yajnas. Tantra is worship of deities, called puja. Vedas usually perform for long-term results, but Tantra is for spontaneous and immediate results. The Vedas are for the universal benefit. The Tantra is for the individual benefit. The Vedas are performed for the acquirement of knowledge. Tantra is performed to gain power. The movement that the Tantra did is to internalize all the ritual. If in the Vedic society the ritual was kind of a collective event in which a qualified priest led the ritual for the benefit of the society as a whole, in the Tantric approach, it's for your own benefit. It's a ritual that you do for your own liberation. And this you can say, okay, but it's more egoistic maybe, right? The Vedas are very altruistic. They want for the benefit of all. Tantra said, if you liberate, everything is liberated, because others are not really others. They are just the divine reflecting you, as if in the division everything is Shakti. We said that Shakti is the mirror in which Shiva consciousness reflects, and what he finds himself cannot be something other than himself. So in the society, or the awareness of the collective, can be also illusion, can be also externalization of your attention. You are taking care of the other. But Tantra says there is no other. There is only you here, only awareness here. And how you will realize? So centralize, internalize your worship. The Tantra is very beautifully, because it goes from an external ritual to a very internal ritual, in which you do it in the level of your awareness. It's called Manasa Puja. It's the puja done with your visualization. Visualization was very important in Tantra. You visualize yourself as the deity, and you worship the awareness that dwells in you. And they have the tool of power. In the Vedas, we have the tool of knowledge. We want to acquire knowledge, so we do rituals in order to gain this knowledge of the divine. But the Tantra is very busy on the direct experience. And that meaning that I need the power, I need to connect to this energy of Shiva. If everything here is the Shakti of Shiva, and the Shakti is a separation that is an apparent separation. So let me find Shiva from where I have the closest to me. I have a body, I am incarnated, and Shakti lives in me, operates, gives birth to me. So I am identified with my body. Yes, I think I am somebody. So if I want to discover the awareness in me, or the unity in me, I need to bring the ritual very, very close. And it's believed in Tantra that you don't do rituals to accumulate good karma, what is called punya, and then you will have a better life in the future, and slowly you will, incarnation after incarnation, go to higher worlds, and then finally one day you will get liberated. Tantra is a spontaneous awakening, and it's not a story. It's so many souls awake in Tantra. They just get it instantaneously liberated. The power that it channeled, it was such that it was shock really. It was the awakened tantrikas could operate the level of energy, because even if we go to science, it said that everything here is energy vibrating. They knew through the mantras to connect to this energy, the energetical aspect of matter, and then change reality. They knew magic. They had mystical powers. They could bend nature. Such powerful tantrikas were. And by this transformation, was really an alchemy. It's to transform yourself, to purify yourself, to make from yourself gold, awareness, purity. That was the direction, through operating power. That's why Prabhuji, when he defined Tantra, he said it's a sophisticated religion and spiritual system aimed for enlightenment through the cultivation of inner power. That's what Tantra is. And how you do your inner power, you centralize your rituals in yourself to your benefit. And also the object of worship change over time with Tantra. In the beginning you worship a deity. The pujas are tantric worship. We now, whoever is familiar with pujas, this is a totally tantric ritual system. The Vedic system was replaced by the tantric system. And the rituals of the deities are the most external rituals. With time, the practitioner go and replace the deity for a yantra, which is a more subtle reflection of divinity. And in the most subtle level, you replace the yantra with a mantra that is just a vibration. And we are talking about energy, right? So the vibration of the mantra is the essence of the deity manifested in the subtle plane of energy. And by putting my energy in frequency with that, the mantra, the energy of the deity, I reconnect to it, and I take this power, this energy required for elevation. But all this, of course, needs to be purified from egoistic motivations. Otherwise, nothing will work. The Tantra system doesn't work. The power is not given for your own benefit, because you can take this power and use it to harm yourself or others. So the divinity, because the divinity dwells in our heart, and because we have some level of free choice, they know our intentions. And that's all the process of the spiritual master, that they take you through a process of purifying your egoistic motivations. And it's not easy. It's not an easy process. It's the spiritual suicide, it's called, when you give up your sense of separation. That you defend, even if you're not aware, you defend your separation in every one of your reactions. You enforce your conditioning. You're justifying. You said, I am here, and I am someone, and someone different than you, and you are going to respect me, and you're going to praise me, and if you criticize me, you're going to suffer. That's our instinct, very, very prominent. So we need to become less instinct and more intuitive, less animal and more human, and eventually more divine. 2. Practice. Prabhuji writes, both traditions developed in parallel over many generations, and both emphasize the significance of the body. However, Tantra stopped seeing it as a tool for sin, and instead accepted it as a microcosm that contains clues to realize the truth, an attitude very conducive to the development of such systems as Hatha Yoga. The Vedas focused on the mind. The Tantra emphasized the energy. The Tantra is more focused on the male, on Shiva, on consciousness. Tantra is focused on Shakti, on the energy, on connecting to this power. And Prabhuji writes that it's recognized in the body clues to realize truth. And this is how we find the systems of Hatha Yoga, of Kundalini Yoga, in which the Shakti, the goddess, the Kundalini Shakti, is dormant in the base of the spine, and it's to awake. And how we awake the Kundalini? Of course, there are many practices and many meditations on it, many tools that from the material plane we can use to uplift our Kundalini, but mainly from awareness, being aware of the different energetic centers until the Kundalini rays and merges with Shiva. And Shiva is the awareness that is waiting for this awakening and celebrating every advancement towards it. And the mercy of the Tantric scriptures and seers is that they brought many ladders to climb in order to reach the heights of self-realization. And you need a guide, of course, that guides you through these stages, because it's unleash powers that we hold and we restrain, but once we release them, so we need to make sure that it's not overpowering us, that it's not taking over, but we are going and gradually advancing and expanding our awareness. So it redefined in a way the bodily experience, not as a sin, but as an opportunity. You have a body. Through your body, you can find your way back. You don't need to wait to leave the body. You don't need to wait for the afterlife when you don't have a body. This plane is a beautiful opportunity to allow Shiva to reunite with Shakti in you, through you. So what it invites, go inwards, explore your energies, be present in every happening of your bodily experience. The taste is a goddess that is tasting through your tongue. Your ears that hear the music, hear these words, is another goddess that allows you the miracle of hearing, the miracle of sight, the miracle of touch, the miracle of sexuality, of pleasure. Let's embrace this. It's amazing. If we are present and if we are not identified, it can be in a celebration. It's really a very joyful path. That's why the spirit of the retroprogressive yoga path so much in tune with this path, because it's a life-embracing, it's a life-affirming path that says that this world is just a beautiful artistic performance of Shakti, how she unfolds her energy in front of the divine. So in order to recognize the divine, we don't need to close our eyes in meditation, restrained from any pleasure, and go inwards, because it's outwards in the same manner. So express it with art, express it with bodily practices, express it with pleasure, express it with sexuality, express it in the way that can glorify the divine in you. And this is how we see the ecstasies of the Tantric. It's a path of ecstasies, of celebration, of enjoyment, of art, so much beautiful art, because how you can express something so undescribable but just by doing art and by playing with colors and sounds and all the unfoldment of this unbelievable dual experience. We need to celebrate it. This is how this path came to renew and to put vitamins to the Vedic path and to bring it very, very, very close to us. If we compare the use of mantras in Veda and in Tantra, we will see that in the Vedas, the mantras are chanted in rituals by priests. But in Tantra, they're chanted in rituals and by individuals in prayer and meditation. In Veda, there are different mantras for different aims. In Tantra, the same mantras are used with different intentions. In Veda, the mantras are measured and metered. In Tantra, they have different lengths. We can see that Veda and Tantra use mantra as primary practice to cope with human condition. But the Tantra modified the Vedic mantras to give faster results. Mantra is a fascinating topic that we will dedicate classes in the future to understand more. What is this tool, this vibrational tool that put me in tune with the vibration of reality? But we see the development of this tool still very central to both systems. The Tantra uses this as you need to be the one who repeat the mantras. It needs to be your voice. In the Vedic context, the regular practitioners, they didn't know how to pronounce the mantras. You needed to be a very specialized priest that know Sanskrit, they know how to pronounce the mantras, and without a correct pronunciation, the mantras are useless. They don't have any power. But in the Tantras, you get the mantra from your spiritual master in the initiation, and with that, the transmission of power. This mantra gets charged with the energy of the parampara, of the disciplic succession. It's like a fire, a torch that goes from master to disciple. And with this tool, you will stay connected in the vibration of the transmission. Transmission is the flow of knowledge. The science says that we are frequencies. Even the one of the theories in science now is the string theory that says that we don't have atoms, we have different frequencies of vibration that create the different elements that we see in matter. How familiar is that with the fact that the Tantra explains that we are just vibrational, we are not real, we are just a vibration, a Shakti, an energy of pure consciousness. This is what we are. Now, the Tantra puts a lot of emphasis in your intention, because you are awareness, your will. We learned in previous course the Icha Shakti, the will of the divine. If you are in tune with your source, your awareness, so you will be able to channel the will of the divine. And then when you pronounce the mantra, you enter in the tune of the divine, and therefore your intention, that is part of your awareness, can manifest whatever the divine wants to manifest in this divine play, the divine drama, I would call it. So the intention, the part of the individual, it's very important. So again, the process of Tantra is to bring everything very close, very relevant for you, very practical for you, and also very individual, to see in the individual development and awakening. Actually is the awakening of the whole. In the moment that somebody awakes, it knows that there is no other, there are not others, there is not a Vedic society, there is all expressions of the same divinity. 4. Social orientation. As a heterodox and flexible religion, Tantra spread among the castes considered inferior within the Varnashrama system. This caste became impregnated with popular cult and worship, its beliefs and ceremonies. In the process of bringing spirituality to the individual, this religion didn't discriminate between any class. Everyone is divine, everyone is a divine expression, and everyone can awake, no matter from which caste he comes, in which economical status it is, how literal or illiterate it is, because it's not a matter of study or knowledge, of knowing, it's a matter of practicing and connecting to the most innate power in you. So you don't need any precondition. You don't need. Many of the followers of Tantra were illiterate. They just received the instruction from the master and follow. And sometimes in this innocence, in this simplicity that who am I to deserve this? Actually, there is the attitude, in the pride of the priests, in the pride of the religious leaders, can be very separating, can be an institutionalized attitude that makes from a religious miracle a social convention. So this simplicity, this humbleness of the simple seekers that thought that they don't deserve, in them they were awakening the women that they were always excluded from any spiritual engagement. Suddenly they are empowered by this system, and they are with this beautiful attitude of the only giving that has the woman, that the surrender, the tenderness of the feminine aspect. They become the spiritual leaders of this path. So Varnashrama, Prabhuji says Varnashrama, and as I told you, this book is not for beginners, and it takes in account that you know what Varnashrama is, but if not, I want to explain it. In the context of the Vedas, there was a system of Varna. It's a system of 4 social castes. There were the Brahmanas, there were the priesthood, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, the Vaishyas, or the merchants, and the Shudras, the workers. But the Tantra came with a different perspective. It didn't see division, and that's why it was so, in a way, revolutionary, because there was very much follow the Varna. They said, we have only one caste, the lovers of God. And whoever loves God, no matter in which caste he was born, it belonged to our caste. So they really delete this this division, saying that it became a social tool and not a divine tool. And therefore, it's time for a new reorganization of society. The ashrama. The ashrama explained that a human being is supposed to go through 4 stages in life. First, he starts as a brahmachari, which is a student. Then he go to the grihastha ashram, is the household stage of his life. Then comes the vanaprastha, which is the retirement, and he can go to sannyas if he wants, from brahmachari to sannyas, that those were the few, the renouncants, the one who choose to live a celibate life. But in Tantra, these stages were deleted. Mainly, they divided in 2 groups, the householders and the ascetics. And we will study this in more details in the context of each one of the different cults. But this Tantra brought spirituality to householders. In the past, the renouncants were celebrated, the ascetics were celebrated, those who really go for spiritual in totality, and they restrain from the world. Although there were ascetics in the Tantra, the most majority were householders, and the Tantra brought this novelty that householders, although they are married and engaged in worldly affairs and they have worldly responsibilities, that doesn't prevent from them from being liberated. They can be liberated and married. And in fact, there were many Tantric gurus that they were married. And even we have the story of Matsyendranath, that he has 12 sons. 6 sons choose the path of sannyas. They were celibate. And 6 sons were married, and the continuation of Matsyendranath lineages were actually by the 6 sons that they were married, because they knew the word, they knew what sexuality is, they were engaged in the word. So for Tantra, you need to be part of the word and not apart from it. So those were the sons that continued the lineages. We have the sexual restraint in the Vedas. It's reserved really only for procreation. Basically, that's the purpose of this function. But in Tantra, sexuality is embraced as a path to ecstasis. And in ecstasis, you can experience the reunion. And in fact, the most advanced stages of Tantra reproduce the union, the sexual union of Shiva and Shakti in the human body. In the Vedas, you need a qualified priest that it will conduct your rituals. Otherwise, you will not get the benefit of the ritual, the punya. You will not accumulate this good karma if the priest is not qualified. And you cannot do it yourself, so you need someone to do this for you. But in Tantra, you are after an enlightened master that empowers you and passes to you the torch of the direct experience. In the Vedas, the worldly desires need to be overcome. It's a path of restraint. But in the Tantra, the worldly desires are maximized, because he said that if you restrain your desires, so you will always fantasize with reproducing more desires and achieving more desires. But the Tantra tried to find the totality in the desires, because this is another way to overcome desires, by embracing them and by making them not the obsession of your life, but another opportunity to be present and to be aware. The Vedas are exoteric. They are mainly public, mainly for the public in general. The Tantra is esoteric. It's safe for the very intimate relationship of the Guru with his kaula, with his family of followers. In the Veda, knowledge is more important. We do all this study, the study of the Upanishads, the memorization of the mantras. This is the focus. We need knowledge in order to awake, because we are in ignorance. But the Tantra doesn't emphasize knowledge. Although in later stages of the development there was more emphasis on knowledge, The main focus of Tantra was the practice. If to summarize this comparison, we will say that Tantra was an alternative for a corrupted Vedic system governed by power and privilege. Vedic system needed to be replaced because the longevity, the character, and the power of the current age. Tantra is a further development of the Vedic system to fit the needs of the current people. Tantra connects the external and internal worlds. We conclude here that Tantra and Veda are complementary. They put emphasis on different aspects. But finally, Tantra is closer to our current situation. We need to use the power that we have in the body in order to reconnect. It's not enough to think about, it's not enough to learn theory in order to experience our divinity. We need to use the body, and all the practice, the tantric practice, is to uplift the energy of the body. We need this energy. We are in deep forgetfulness, and therefore we cannot wait for the long benefit. We need something more practical, more total, and this is a path of totality, more relevant for the current situation of the humanity, the current era. It is said that the agamas, they are the most relevant for the Kali Yuga, the stage of deep forgetfulness in which we are, the age of quarrel. And this is the system that, although doesn't contradict, in a way complements, but yes, in a way replaces the Vedic system because it brings a more relevant and powerful alternative for spirituality. So with that being said, we will keep exploring because it's intriguing and it's really a passionate path to be explored, and to see, okay, those were Vedic times, then there were Tantric times, but now, for you, for me, what we can take from this taste, what can be relevant for me, and how I can start living my life in a way that will be conducive for awakening, that ultimately, either we know it, whether we know it or not, is what we all look for. So we will finish here, and we will continue next class studying about the differences between the right and the left path in Tantra. With deep thankfulness to Prabhuji for writing this book and bringing this revelation very, very close to us in a way that we can relish it and apply it to our search. So we will continue and meet in the next lecture. Jai Prabhuji.